Okay, so we would like to introduce our final speaker for today, who is a wonderful disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who took Diksha in 1975, and the year later, in 1976, took Harinam in 1975 and Diksha in 1976 from Srila Prabhupada. And then in 1973, he met the devotees. And in 1999, he met Srila Gurudeva. He's done a lot of seva for BBT in translating, proofreading, etc. And now nowadays does editorial seva for Srila Gurudeva's books. So with great honor and pleasure, I would like to invite our next speaker, Sriman Mahakala Prabhu, to come and offer his Pushpanjali to Srila Gurudev. Prabhuji, you have half an hour, 30 minutes to speak. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. I thank Sripad Mahavir Maharaj a lot for his beautiful memories, sharing his beautiful memories on the time he rendered him Vapu Seva, which is very inspiring, especially for someone like me. I didn't have that chance to be close to my Gurudevas. When the only time I had the chance to be around my Guru Maharaj, it was for 10 days, and I was a young boy. I was only 23 years old, and then the same thing happened when I happened to have the mercy of Srila Gurudeva's divine association.
Mahakala Prabhu? Is it possible? Yeah, there we go. That's better. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'd like to start my glorification of Srila Gurudeva's lotus feet by reading a verse from Chaitanya Bhagavat, which comes with a very powerful commentary by our Gurudev. Ata eva Vaishnavera Janma Mrityunai Sange Aisen Sange Yayin Tathai Dharma Karma Janma Vaishnavera Kabunahi Padma Puranete Iha Vyakta Kari Kahi. The translation is, Padma Purana says that Vaishnavas do not undergo birth and death like ordinary people do. They appear and disappear within this world on their own accord. In this way, sometimes we get their association, and sometimes their association is withdrawn. The Vaishnavas are not subject to any worldly considerations of dharma and karma. And then there is this very strong commentary by our Gurudeva. It happened in LA, 2005. He says, those who think that I'll soon die and then they can take over and become guru are Guru Drohi, offenders and traitors. Sri Guru never dies, never ever. He continues to live in the heart of those disciples who are chaste and loyal to him. And what is loyalty? Loyalty is when you act according to the desire of Sri Guru, not according to your own desire. This is the mood of the gopis. They only want to please Radha and Krishna and fulfill their desires. They have no self-interest whatsoever. Please try to understand this and take it into your heart. So, you may remember, I believe some of you who are there in Europe somewhere or other connected to our dear most Srila Govinda Maharaj. I remember I stayed in Europe for 3 years, And I had the fortune of meeting so many wonderful, dedicated, surrendered disciples of Srila Govinda Maharaj. And you may have heard the story how when Srila Govinda Maharaj in his Lila, he left his Grihastha life and he traveled all over India looking for his Gurudev. And finally, he came to Vrindavan, and some way or other, he got a Back to Godhead magazine. And when he looked at the cover of Back to Godhead magazine, he saw Srila Prabhupada's picture. And then he realized that was the guru he was looking for, because he could see that our Srila Prabhupada was traveling and preaching all over the world, fulfilling the prophecy of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And then, but at that time, his external appearance was that of a traveling sadhu. He was wearing a torn piece of cloth, and he had long hair, long beard. And Srila Prabhupada, Western disciples, would not allow him to go into Srila Prabhupada's personal association. But he was very insistent. He wanted to have the darshan of Srila Prabhupada. And when he finally had Srila Prabhupada's darshan, the interaction that took place was very sweet and very, it showed how a pure Vaishnava, when he meets another pure Vaishnava, he realizes his desires and his intentions. And that's exactly what happened, because Srila Prabhupada, one of the first things he said to Srila Govinda Maharaj was, I know you want to take sannyas. Oh no, he asked, do you want to take sannyas? And then Srila Govinda Maharaj was very, very moved, because he had been thinking of taking sannyas so that he could preach the message of Mahaprabhu. So this story proves to us that actually only a Mahabhagavat can glorify another Mahabhagavat. Only a Mahabhagavat is able to actually recognize who is a Mahabhagavat. So I have thought of sharing with you what some of our great Vaishnava acharyas from present day have said about our Gurudeva and about his books, especially about his books. For example, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he used to say that whenever one of Srila Gurudeva's books came out in Mathura, he would ask one of his disciples to travel from Bhubaneswar to Mathura, buy the book, and bring the book to him. And when the book came to him, he would dive into reading and relishing Srila Gurudeva's book. And he would be very, very ecstatic by reading Srila Gurudeva's books, and he would glorify Srila Gurudev so much. The same thing also happens with Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. I forgot where I left this post, where he says something about Srila Gurudeva as well. So I'll repeat from memory, so it will not be as complete as it should be. But what he says is that if any one of us is really interested in learning real Tattva Siddhanta and Rasa Siddhanta according to the pure philosophy of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, this person should take shelter of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj's Grantha. And then when Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj finishes this glorification of our Gurudeva, he says that Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, our dear most Gurudeva, is the object of his affection. So this is, I find it so beautiful to see how our Gurudeva has always been recognized by so many wonderful Vaishnavas everywhere. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's disciples would relish listening to Srila Gurudeva's Katha in Mathura and elsewhere in India. And they were they were mesmerized by the way our Gurudeva would bring light into Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's Katha. So this is another demonstration, or this comes to show to every one of us how great our Gurudeva is, how important he is for the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the contemporary world and actually eternally. And then I also have this letter which was written by our Srila Prabhupada. You may know where it comes from. If you have that book by our Gurudev, you know where it comes from. It's from this wonderful book, Gauravani Pracharine, which is our Gurudeva explaining all the deep meanings in the pranam. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschalcha Deshatarine. So at the back cover, in the inside of the back cover of this book, there is this letter written by our Srila Prabhupada on the 28th of September, 1966. And the letterhead is from 26 2nd Avenue, New York. So that time they had already started the first storefront temple in New York. And then I'll just read the first paragraph from this amazing letter. And this is one of hundreds and hundreds of letters that our Prabhupada would share with our Gurudev for many, many years. And he says, Srila Prabhupada is saying, Sripad Narayana Maharaj, I received your letter dated September the 20th of 1966 on time. Our relationship is certainly based on spontaneous love. That's why there is no chance of us forgetting one another. By the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, may everything be auspicious for you. This is my constant prayer. From the first time I saw you, I have been your constant well-wisher. At his first sight of me, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also saw me with such love. It was in my very first darshan of Srila Prabhupada that I learned how to love. Such an amazing, beautiful statement. It was in my very first darshan of Srila Prabhupada that I learned how to love. It is his boundless mercy that he has engaged an unworthy person like me in fulfilling some of his desires. It's his causeless mercy to engage me in preaching the message of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So this first paragraph from this letter again shows us how our dear most Srila Gurudev belongs to this very, 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 very high rank of Shuddha Vaishnavas who come to this material world with the sole purpose of helping the conditioned souls, of giving them the opportunity of approaching Raganuga Bhakti. And so I pray at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj that he empowers every one of us to carry on with his seva, with serving him, because the other day I was thinking that when Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj, after he left the planet, after he entered Nitya Lila, for a few generations and more after his departure, his grand disciples took over serving his transcendental literature. And that's why a Bhaktivedanta Book Trust in different languages, including Portuguese language, have been able to produce, to print and distribute Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books in practically every language on the planet. So my humble prayer is that those of you who are grand disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, that I pray at your feet that you some way or other take the task of making Srila Gurudeva's books available in every language, even in English, because there are lots of Srila Gurudeva's books in Hindi which haven't been translated or produced or even printed in English language. So we are, on one hand, we are very fortunate that Srila Gurudeva has given us unlimited seva, unlimited editorial seva, unlimited preaching seva, unlimited everything. So that's our great fortune. But it's up to us to take this seva to our heart. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I thank you so much for the opportunity of sharing some of these words glorifying Srila Gurudeva. Thank you very much.
Mahakala Prabhu, that was it was so quick. I was just trying to like write down some things, but if you've got some more time, if there is anything else you want to share, any memories with Srila Gurudev, if you have any, if you want to, if you feel comfortable. If not, then we'll conclude here. But
I think I have said what I had planned to say, but I thank you so much for asking anyway.
No, just wanted to make sure. I just want to say that, you know, whatever you've said in your Pushpanjali is so beautiful, because, you know, the way that you've glorified Srila Gurudev is through other Vaishnavas, and you know, their the relationship with Gurudev and other Vaishnavas was so magnificent and so so beautiful that if anyone was to be able to see their real beautiful relationship that they had so much love and affection for each other. Even at a time where it seemed like they were quarreling, it was all love and affection. And only someone that is from that family, like if you're a part of a family, you can only quarrel with your family members, right? It's not that you can quarrel with anybody. And they had this love and affection. And, you know, Guru Govinda Maharaj would, you know, request that Gurudev's books, but you know, Gurudev would also request other Vaishnav's books as well, and he would relish their books and vice versa. So it's a very beautiful beautiful way of showing or showcasing that relationship between Srila Gurudev. And you know, this concept of that how Gurudev brought the light of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's books to light. You know, he made it real for us, and every Vaishnav has their way and expertise and a purpose when they are coming to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu. And you know, ultimately everyone falls under the umbrella of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and without knowing him, we're really nowhere near even touching the essence of Rupa Goswami, what to speak of service. So it's very beautiful. And you know, the last thing that you said was Gurudev has given us unlimited seva, and you're so right. Like, we have the a numerous amount, an unlimited amount of seva we could do for Srila Gurudev. And you know, I see so many disciples of Gurudev, and I see so many disciples that are not disciples, or devotees that are not Gurudev disciples, doing so much seva for Gurudev. It's so inspiring to see that people outside of our Sangha are willing to come and do something for Srila Gurudev. And you know, that just shows how merciful Gurudev is, and the Vaishnavas are, that expansion can happen under the umbrella of one Chaitanya family. And the last thing you said, it's up to us to take that seva. And I think that's where people struggle, that they're like, okay, there's no seva, there's nothing to do, but actually we have the opportunity to do so much seva. And Gurudev would always encourage us that whatever we've heard, we should at least speak about what we've heard to other devotees, because that way not only we are remembering what is being spoken, but we're also giving kirtan. So Shravan and Kirtan is happening at the same time. And I think that even if you're speaking to one person, that's still a huge seva, because by just discussing a topic of Srila Gurudev's Harikatha, it enables one to do so much seva across the board. So I really appreciate everything that you've said, Prabhuji, and I'm grateful that you came on our program, and grateful that we're honored to have you here, and I look forward to hopefully having you back and speaking some more glories of either Srila Prabhupada or Srila Gurudev or other Vaishnavas that you've been in contact with. So thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you all. Dandavad pranam to all of you.
Dandavad pranam. Haribo.
Prabhu, just quickly before I think you have to go quite soon, right? So I just wanted to, Yashodanand here, I just wanted to thank you and also make a request. I wanted to thank you as a Prabhupada disciple, because I always consider that the likes of Yashoda and I, we're like the trustafarians. We've inherited all the wealth that you have created with Srila Prabhupada to bring Krishna consciousness around the planet. If it wasn't for the Angas of Srila Prabhupada, i.e. you as devotees of Srila Prabhupada, we would have no opportunity to have received the nectar. So I just wanted to thank you. And by thanking you, I wanted also to always thank Srila Prabhupada, because the first time, not the first time actually, but when I was on tour of Srila Gurudev that first year, Srila Gurudev made such a point, and he made a point to actually Brajnath in the car on the way to the airport, that he's come to serve Srila Prabhupada, and he made that very clear to us right from the beginning. He is he's Srila Prabhupada's servant, and he's come to complete the building that Prabhupada designed. So it's Srila Prabhupada's architecture that designed that building, and we honor that. And I want to make a request, because we're one of the announcements I want to make is that in 2022, starting on March the 26th, we'll be taking a little break from Gurudev Memories. We'll be moving into Guru Memories, and Guru Memories is really taking all the Nitya Siddhas that have been in our lifetime, like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Gaur Govinda Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj, Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, and so on. I think there are about 13 in total, and we're going to be doing the same program, 3 speakers a time, and mixing it up. So we might have a Prabhupada one, followed by a Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj one, followed by a Srila Gurudev disciple. And we're going to do that every week. So if you, as a Prabhupada disciple, if you could spread that word amongst your Prabhupada brothers and sisters, we would love to connect with as many of those Prabhupada disciples for half an hour glorification of Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the invitation. I'll try my best to spread the word around so that other Prabhupada disciples can come and give their Pushpanjali to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. Ujjwala Prem is going to be doing a lot of the organizing, so with your permission, he'll probably reach out to you. Thank you so much. You remind me of Sundar Gopal. Have you met Sundar Gopal from Costa Rica?
I love Sundar Gopal. He's my
you remind me like you could be his
he's
dad.
He's my editorial sevaka god brother, so to speak.
Your eyes are quite similar. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have had the chance to associate with Sundar Gopal Prabhu in India sometimes, in Europe as well. And whenever we are together, we share aspects of the editorial seva, which is a very, very specific seva.
What seva?
Editorial seva.
Editorial, yes, yes.
Editorial seva.
Yes.
So whenever we meet, we talk about the prospects of organizing events so that other Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis willing to learn, they can have workshops on translation, editing, and every detail of the book production system, which is
I have an idea. You just inspired me, which is always dangerous, because the other day I was on Zoom and who's speaking? I think it was Manjari from East Coast, and she was talking about Art Saver, and I thought, well, why don't we have a Bhakti Zoom just showcases all of our marvelous artists? And I asked Shadari about it. She thought it was a great idea. Why don't we do the same for editors, so you can encourage more people to come into editing?
Yeah, it will be my pleasure, because my situation nowadays, I'm 68 years old. My health is not so well, and what I've been trying to do is to save energy so that I can do the seva. You know, as long as I'm in this material body, I keep praying to Srila Gurudeva that I can carry on with the seva, which is talking about and thinking about strategies for the editorial seva. I see as a big challenge nowadays.
Yeah.
Because as I said a little earlier, I remember I was doing seva for Srila Prabhupada on his BBT, and after he left, most of his sevakas at BBT were his grand disciples. So I think it's very important to spread the word around Srila Gurudeva's grand disciples, not only those who
What a great point. What a great point.
Those whose mother tongue is English, but those whose mother tongue is French, Portuguese, Spanish, etc. Okay. Because that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
All right. So what we'll do.
Like Srila Prabhupada, he used to write notes on sheets of paper with his handwriting, and there is one of them. If you look on Google, maybe you'll be able to find. He writes the titles he would like to produce if he has time, if he had time, and among the titles was Jaiva Dharma. And then you see how he was not able to produce Jaiva Dharma, but our Gurudeva was able to bring up this amazing transcendental piece of literature by our Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I always, whenever I have the chance to speak about editorial seva, I always try to remind everyone that it is a multi-generational seva. It's not something that a generation of devotees will do and that's it. No, it's a multi-generational seva. And I have the fortune of having Srila Gurudeva's editorial seva building in the same town as Portuguese BBT. And I have a very good relationship with the present BBT director. And another thing which is going on now is that the BBT in Brazil, they have bought an amazing printer, a very, very modern printer. And they are rendering this service to society. And then I have already talked to this Prabhu, his name is Nanda Kumar Das, and we will be printing Gurudeva's books at BBT. Just imagine how amazing it is.
That's beautiful.
It's a big blessing by Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudeva that it's happening in Brazil.
That's so beautiful. So what we'll do is there's a function on Zoom which allows for contemporaneous translation. So instead of translating and then and then translate, instead of speaking and translating, what you have is if you were speaking in Portuguese now, we could have you speaking Portuguese and hear you 20%, and a Portuguese translator speaking 80% at the same time, simultaneous. So what we'll do in honor of what you just said is we can have an editorial, we could do it once a quarter or something, like an editorial showcasing. We'll find translators in about 10 languages from China to Brazil, and we'll have it all over the world with all those translators to make it multi-generational and multilingual. Yeah? Okay, great. Wow. I can feel the fire coming through me from Prabhu. What an amazing inspiration you've given us, Prabhu. Really amazing. Whew. Okay, so before I hand back to you.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, I'll have to go now, okay?
No, thank you, sir.
I thank you so much for the opportunity. I thank especially Maharaj, who insisted on me coming on Zoom to share with you. Thank you, Maharaj. Pranams. Thank you, Jashodhari Didi, and all of you. Pranams, Ramananda Prabhu.
Haribol.
All of you who I associated with in Europe. Dandavat Pranams, Jai Srila Gurudeva, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Jai.
Haribol.
Jai Shri Radhe.